Hey there, it's Dr. Scott Watson, and in this video I'm going to review the Stellar X2 Vintage condenser microphone made by TechZone Audio Products. TechZone Audio Products is a boutique microphone manufacturer in California. I think this microphone is worthy of your attention, and so let's get into the review. In this video review of the mic, we're going to take a look at the microphone's build and aesthetics and what comes in the box. We'll discuss briefly the specifications of the mic, the specs of the mic, and what that means practically for you as a user. I've invited a few musician friends of mine to take this microphone for a test drive so we can see how it sounds and how it performs. And I'll discuss my impressions of the mic in various recording scenarios. And finally, in light of how the microphone performs and its price, we'll discuss the answer to the question, is it worth it? One disclaimer. I am a veteran music educator, so in this review we'll be discussing things that are especially of interest to music teachers. Things such as how well made and rigorous is the microphone and the housing. For instance, will it hold up with the less than delicate use sometimes applied by music students in K-12 schools? Will it be a wise use of the precious funds sometimes available in the limited budgets of school music teachers? Additionally, as you can tell, we're not in a pro music studio. We're here in my home office where I compose and produce music, and we'll be using a wonderful little 2-channel audio interface, more similar to the kind of things that I use, that a lot of school music programs use, and a lot of home recording aficionados use. Okay, let's go to the unboxing and see what comes in the package, what comes with this microphone. Let's see what's inside. There's a nice flight case that greets you with an attractive graphic on the front of the flight case. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and just take this off. All right, let's open it up and see what's inside. All right, so first we get some literature, and we'll take a look inside this package, although I'm kind of anxious to see the mic itself. So among the documentation for the microphone includes this certification card that just mentions the tests that this microphone has undergone before it was shipped to us. And then there is a quick start guide, which is very helpful. It just shows the flow from the microphone via an XLR cable to the recording device, say an audio interface. And then there's a QR code with a tech support website. And then the specs sheet, which is something we'll go over in great detail later on in this review, just lists some of the specs. It gives some background about the microphone and then lists the different parameters and criteria of this microphone. And then what's in the case, and we're going to see that. So the aluminum flight case is the first thing mentioned here. The next thing it mentions is a spring shock mount, and this comes with a lot of studio mics so that motion, movement on the mic stand, when you touch the mic stand, it doesn't affect the sound of the mic. So there's kind of like these shock absorbers on the shock mount. So we get a shock mount, and it has an adapter that we'll put it on a typical mic stand, and it also has a little metal adapter depending on if you have a different size mic stand. So that's the 3/8 to 5/8 inch adapter for the mic stand. It comes with a foam windscreen, so that's often used. You've seen these on top of microphones, and it's not the same as a pop filter, which you could also apply to your microphone. Put a screen in front of it. This is more for ambient wind noise. Okay, so a wind cover, and then a leather pouch that you can put all of your accessories into when storing the microphone. And then here's the microphone itself. Very attractive in this case with this foam for storing it. Of course, some people who have studios might have a mic drawer and have their microphones stored in those, but it's an attractive presentation. And all of that then can be stored very nicely in this case when you put it away and store it for use later. And the adapter, let's take that out of the case too. Okay, so I think it makes a great first impression. Okay, in terms of aesthetics and build, the X2 vintage microphone is sleek and attractive, However, it's a little weighty, but not in a bad way. It communicates when you're holding this that it's a serious build. It's rigorous. It's tight. It's not flimsy. I think it would take a beating, although these condenser mics, by definition, should not be dropped. They're much more fragile than, say, a dynamic mic, so no mic drops with this microphone. You can see the XLR connector is in the bottom. And on the microphone itself, there are no switches for things like decibel reduction or frequency roll-off. So it's a pretty straightforward microphone. And then finally, it's a little small compared to the bottle design of a lot of condenser mics. And I think that means it could fit into some recording scenarios where you might have a tight spot like under the lid of a piano or just any other kind of tight spot. It's not a very tall or large microphone. Okay, and I also wanted to point out that the spring shock mount that comes with the microphone, that does have flexible bands here, which is kind of like the shock absorber on a car or the strut on a car. These are maybe tighter, thicker, more resistant than, say, some more flexible, lighter springs that I've seen on these shock mount mics. So I guess it's a tight suspension, as they'd say on a car. Okay, let's discuss the technical specs of the microphone. In terms of frequency range, this microphone is rated at 20 hertz to 18 kilohertz or 18,000 hertz. I'll take it because in the best day of my life, my hearing range probably from 20 hertz to maybe 16,000 hertz. Humans, in general, we say their hearing range goes up to 20,000. If they were like the prime of their teenage years, before their cartilage in their eardrum gets stiff. So all that to say, this microphone does cover a human being's hearing range. Okay, the mic pattern is a cardioid. There's actually a little image that shows you the cardioid lima bean shape here right on the microphone itself. So what that means is that emanating out from the microphone is this sort of lima bean shaped pattern, which means you do have a little flexibility. You could be facing the microphone's front, you could be front on, or you could be a little bit off to the side, one way or the other, and you would still be getting a nice full signal. But that also means that if you're not on the front of the mic, but if you're behind the microphone, right, you would be getting a lot of signal loss. In terms of sensitivity, this microphone is rated at negative 31 decibels. What that means in terms of its comparison to other microphones, at that rating, it's a moderately sensitive mic. It's probably better than almost every dynamic mic, and it puts it in the running with about better than maybe half the condenser microphones that are out there. This microphone's maximum SPL or sound pressure level is 130 decibels. That's pretty good. It can take a hit. It can take Kelly Clarkson screaming at it, or it can take a large brass horn line playing at it. Studio mics, or microphones that are a little bit better than just a consumer mic, are given a self-noise level, meaning that the microphone itself is going to, through its electronics, it's going to introduce some noise. This microphone's self-noise is 10 decibels, which is good. It's the beginning of the excellent range, which qualifies this microphone as a studio quality microphone. This microphone does require phantom power, as is true with condenser microphones, so you would need to have on your audio interface or your mixing board or whatever, you'd be powering the microphone with 48 volts of phantom power. In terms of frequency response, this microphone's frequency response is fairly flat, meaning that it doesn't really color or alter the sound a whole lot. Like some microphones make your voice a little bit warmer or a little bit brighter. And the fact that this is flat means it's a very true signal that you're likely to get when you record with the microphone. So that, I would think, makes it usable for a broad range of recording chores. It's a pretty true microphone signal. Okay, so let's move on to the playing test. First, we have my good friend and saxophonist extraordinaire, Glenn Hofmann, who's going to take the Stellar X2 Vintage for a test drive, playing some jazz, and then we'll see what he thinks about it. So, Glenn? Okay, well, I'm really curious, Glenn, since you play a lot in live situations and in studios, you've used all sorts of microphones. I'm going to play back you playing into this microphone, the Stellar X2 Vintage, and let's hear what you think of you playing.
Great.
So Glenn, tell us about your impressions. How do you think your saxophone playing sounds with the Stellar X2 Vintage microphone?
Initially, I'm really quite blown away. I was surprised with the quality of the sound. And as a musician, instrumentalist, a lot of times it's difficult and challenging to listen to yourself, but this one makes it pleasurable. Then you added some reverb to it. It thickened it up beautifully. I'm really impressed with this microphone.
Cool. And I like that you played some loud and some soft dynamics, so we got to hear the mic. And did you think there was any deficit one way or the other?
No, I really overdrove the mic, where I tried to overdrive the mic at the beginning. I really got nasty with it a little bit, and it was clean. And then I brought it way down to triple pianissimo, and it seemed to be fine.
Thanks so much, Glenn, for taking the microphone for a test drive and helping our viewers with this video review of the mic. Okay, we're so lucky to have Skylar Lee here. Just flew in from Nashville yesterday.
Yes, I
That
did.
makes us sound important. I think that's cool. And she's going to try the mic. She's going to sing a little bit. And what song are you going to sing?
It's a song that I'm working on. It's called Roman Holiday.
Okay, so here's Skylar Lee singing Roman Holiday.
We were cursed from the start. It was the right place, but it was the wrong time we knew it. But we were taking shots in the dark. We were playing a part. You were the dreamer and I was the hopeless romantic. I was caught up in a city of stars, but then reality set back in. But what I would give to go back again. And I knew the history we made brand new, a dream that we drifted into. Baby, you were the key to my escape, and we burned bright. An era that lasted one night, I'll remember it for a lifetime. Yeah, there's nothing like a Roman holiday.
I asked Skylar to listen to her voice as recorded by the Stellar X2 Vintage mic to get her impressions.
Escape and we burned bright. An era that lasted one night, I'll remember it for a lifetime. Yeah, there's nothing like a Roman holiday.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay, Skylar. First of all, it sounded great. Enjoyed hearing you sing.
Thank you.
You sang some soft dynamics. You opened up, sang some loud dynamics, and we also tried very natural without any processing on the
Yes.
mic, and then we added a little bit of processing that we might use like compression, EQ, and reverb. What are your impressions
Yeah.
of this microphone?
Yeah, I think when I was listening to the microphone, the quality of it, just the raw, organic sound of it without any editing involved, I was taken aback. I really liked the warm ambience that it had, on like the spectrum of like brightness to warmness. I felt like it was really on that warm direction, and I love that quality of sound whenever I'm doing my own personal recordings. It gives it like a nice warm hug,
I agree.
guess,
yeah.
if you will.
I mean, I'm glad
But,
you said that because we hadn't necessarily
yeah.
conferred about my impressions, but I think it is a little bit on the warm side too.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it a lot. And also just like in regards to like different dynamics and everything, I think it just picked up, the soft qualities of my voice really well. But also even when I was really loud, I feel like there wasn't any distortion at all and the clarity was perfect.
So say you walked into a studio for your next project and the sound engineer had set up this TechZone Stellar X2 vintage mic on the stand. Would you be comfortable using it for a
Oh,
project?
for sure.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Before I give you my overall impression of the Stellar X2 vintage microphone, let's talk about what that word vintage means in the name. TechZone created this microphone as an affordable homage to the vintage Neumann U47 large diaphragm condenser microphone. The Neumann U47 was manufactured back in the 1950s and 60s and is one of the most sought after studio quality microphones in the history of recording. And it was used by countless famous luminaries such as Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Bing Crosby, Tony Bennett, and the Beatles. You can still purchase reboots of this classic microphone and even some of the originals, but they're very, very expensive, in the thousands of dollars. On the other hand, the Stellar X2 microphone is just about $270. So if it could match at least approximately the sound of the Neumann U47, boy, you'd have yourself a bargain. Here's the thing. I have no experience using a U47. I've never used this microphone. The best I can do is tell you about my experience with it, but I wanted you to know that background. Even if I was trying the U47 microphone for the first time, I can read about it, but I'd really need to use it recording in various scenarios to say, personally, this is what I've experienced. It's just like if I was trying out a trumpet, right? I'd want to play my trumpet and I want to play a dozen other trumpets, and each time I play a trumpet, I would have a sense of how that instrument responds in my scenario. So we have used this microphone in a bunch of scenarios, and I created a little graph. The graph shows both the timbre, which is the tone color of the microphone, and the dynamics. You know, how strong a signal can the microphone take before it peaks out or distorts, and how delicate a signal it can record with clarity. As you can see from my graph, I felt the microphone was a fairly true and natural mic that didn't add a whole lot, but what it did add warmed up the sound. It didn't brighten it or make it more strident. It actually made it more smooth and warm. And then as for dynamic response, this microphone was able to take a fairly strong signal without distorting it, and it even handled soft signals pretty well. All things considered, I think this microphone was absolutely worth the cost of $270. I think a variety of performers would enjoy working with this mic on studio projects, whether it's in your school or whether it's in your home studio. I think it's a good buy, and I like the mic a lot.
Baby, you were the key for me.